In the heart of Russia, a prophecy unfolds. Gazeta Akhmetzhanova, a name whispered with reverence and fear. Her predictions, chillingly accurate, have shaken the world. From natural disasters to political unrest, Akhmetzhanova's words have a disturbing tendency to come true. She first appeared on the scene under the bright lights of television. The Battle of the Psychics, the show was called, a platform for Russia's most gifted seers to showcase their abilities. Her victory in the competition solidified her status as the woman who could see the future. Akhmetzhanova became a household name, her face gracing magazine covers, her interviews broadcast on national television. World leaders sought her advice, hoping to get insights into the future to prevent disasters. Her pronouncements on global events, from earthquakes in the Pacific to the rise of political figures, were met with a mix of wonder and apprehension. When Akhmetzhanova spoke, the world listened. And now, she has set her sights on a conflict that has gripped the world, the war in Ukraine. Her words, spoken with chilling certainty, paint a grim picture of the future. The world holds its breath, caught between hope and fear. A hush fell over the room as Akhmetzhanova spoke, her voice low and steady. She had agreed to a rare interview with the Moskovsky Komsomolets. "It will get worse," she stated plainly, "before it gets better." The interview sent shockwaves through Russia and beyond. News outlets around the world picked up the story, her words translated into countless languages. Akhmetzhanova's prediction became a topic of endless debate. The world watched, holding its breath, as the conflict in Ukraine continued to escalate. Akhmetzhanova's predictions were now unfolding on the global stage. The conflict had become a powder keg, threatening to ignite a larger war. Diplomatic efforts failed, stuck in distrust. The possibility of nuclear war loomed large. The human cost of the conflict continued to rise. Amid the chaos, Akhmetzhanova's words served as a stern warning. Inside the Kremlin, people reacted to Akhmetzhanova's words with a mix of worry and dislike. Some officials felt like her words supported their own aggressive feelings. Others saw a scary warning, a suggestion to be more careful. Putin, known for carefully thinking things through, was both interested and uncomfortable. Her words weighed heavily on him, a constant reminder of the risks. Akhmetzhanova's prediction had become something he had to consider. The world watched closely as the fighting in Ukraine went on and on. The 100th day of the war came and went, then the 200th, and the fighting still hadn't stopped. What was supposed to be a quick military operation had become a long and difficult war. The initial shock turned into a sad reality. The fighting had become a problem for the whole world, affecting many countries far from Ukraine. It looked like a bigger war could happen. In the middle of all the daily news, one thing really stuck out: the attack on the Crimea Bridge. This famous bridge, a symbol of Russia taking over Crimea, was attacked in a bold move. This attack made things much worse in the war. The bridge wasn't just a road, it showed how powerful Russia was. Russia reacted quickly and angrily, firing lots of missiles at Ukrainian cities. Attacking the Crimea Bridge showed that Russia wasn't as strong as everyone thought. After the attack on the Crimea Bridge, the world held its breath. The rhetoric on both sides became more intense, accusations were thrown around. The United States and its NATO allies were under increasing pressure to give Kyiv more advanced weapons. The Kremlin warned of serious consequences if such weapons were provided. The world watched, trapped in a dangerous game of pushing limits. The fate of humanity was very uncertain. "2027. The year hung heavy in the air, a ghost looming over the present. The conflict, she had warned, could drag on for years. The world struggled to grasp the scale of what she was predicting. Economies were stretched to the breaking point, resources dwindling. Akhmetzhanova's words, spoken with chilling certainty, left little room for doubt. The provocations, Akhmetzhanova had warned, would be a constant threat. Russia, cornered, would lash out with the fury of a wounded bear. The West would have to tread carefully, navigating a treacherous path. Every incident had the potential to spiral out of control. Akhmetzhanova had spoken of Russia's resilience, its ability to weather the storm. The world, which once dismissed Russia, now watched it with a mixture of apprehension and grudging respect. And what about Ukraine, caught in the middle of this global power struggle? Akhmetzhanova hadn't said much about what would happen to it. Its fight was sure to go on, a sad side story in a larger tale. But even in the dark, there was still a little bit of hope. Akhmetzhanova had talked about a solution, a possible way to end the fighting. Until then, Ukraine would be stuck waiting, its people between a rock and a hard place. Springtime, a time of rebirth, of renewal, of hope emerging from the frozen ground. In 2025, according to Akhmetzhanova's prophecy, this season would hold a special meaning for Ukraine. It was then, she hinted, that the seeds of resolution could finally be sown. The year 2025 arrived, a milestone filled with anticipation. Akhmetzhanova's prediction had become a focal point, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Section 2. A world transformed. The world waiting for spring 2025 was very different from the world that watched in horror as Russian tanks crossed into Ukraine. The war changed global politics. It broke old partnerships and made new ones in the middle of the fighting. The world's governments were already struggling with things like populism, the gap between rich and poor, and climate change. The war made these problems even worse. The fighting in Ukraine showed how fragile the world is and how hard it is to solve problems when many powerful countries are involved. The United States, which used to be the most powerful country, became weaker as Russia and China became stronger. The European Union, which often disagrees with itself, had to face its own weaknesses. It realized that depending on Russia for energy was a big problem. The war also made technology change faster, especially technology used for fighting. Drones and cyber weapons and artificial intelligence were important in the war. They made it hard to tell the difference between normal fighting and new kinds of fighting. This brought up important questions about what's right and wrong and how to fight wars in the future. Section 3. The Seeds of Discord. And what about Akhmetzhanova's prediction of a resolution? As spring blossomed into summer, the world looked for signs of progress, any indication that the fighting might be coming to an end. There were rumors, of course, whispers of secret negotiations, of clandestine meetings in neutral countries, but concrete evidence remained elusive. The conflict had become a tangle of competing interests with no easy solutions in sight. Russia, despite its losses, still held the military advantage, unwilling to give up its gains without significant concessions. Ukraine, for its part, remained defiant, its people determined to fight for their sovereignty, bolstered by the unwavering support of its Western allies. The seeds of discord, sown years earlier in the fertile ground of historical grievances and geopolitical ambitions, had taken root, their poisonous tendrils choking off any hope of a swift resolution. The world was left grappling with the unsettling possibility that Akhmetzhanova's prophecy might come true, that the conflict in Ukraine, far from being an isolated incident, was merely a prelude to a more turbulent and dangerous era. Section 1. The Seer's Warning. Akhmetzhanova's predictions went far beyond the battlefields of Ukraine. The conflict, she warned, was a sign of a turbulent and dangerous era. The world was at a crossroads, facing a choice between working together or disaster. Her pronouncements painted a stark picture of the dangers ahead: climate change, social unrest, economic inequality, and the erosion of trust in institutions. The world was sleepwalking towards disaster, lulled by a false sense of security. The old order was crumbling and a new one was struggling to be born. Her words resonated with a disturbing familiarity, echoing the warnings of scientists and activists. Akhmetzhanova's pronouncements carried a different weight, amplified by her track record of accurate predictions. All over the world, people listened to Akhmetzhanova's words with a mix of wonder and worry. Some thought she was a fake, someone spreading bad news to make money off of people's fears. Others felt her words confirmed their biggest fears, that the world was becoming a mess. Powerful people reacted to Akhmetzhanova's predictions with doubt and concern. World leaders, used to dealing with clear dangers and measurable risks, found it hard to understand her words. They didn't know how to analyze them. Intelligence agencies, whose job is to predict and stop threats, added Akhmetzhanova's predictions to their files. They studied her every word, looking for hints and patterns to help them understand the future. But Akhmetzhanova's predictions were hard to put into neat categories. They weren't based on the usual spying like intercepted messages or satellite pictures. They came from somewhere beyond logic and reason, from her intuition, from a place even she didn't seem to fully understand. Even though no one was sure how she did it, Akhmetzhanova's message was clear. The world was at a crossroads, facing a choice between two totally different futures. One path led to cooperation, to a renewed promise to work together with other countries, to a recognition that we are all human and connected to the natural world. The other path, the one humanity seemed set on following, led to conflict, environmental damage, and the breakdown of society, to a world where making money now was more important than the health of the planet and its people in the future. The choice, Akhmetzhanova insisted, was still ours. But time was running out, our chance was disappearing, and the longer we waited, the harder it would be to change direction, to avoid the worst things she had predicted. Her announcements were a call to action, a desperate request for the world to be reasonable, a world standing on the edge of disaster. Whether humanity would listen to her warning, whether we could all decide together to change direction, remained to be seen. The future, like always, was unwritten, but Akhmetzhanova had offered a peek at what the future could be, a peek that should have made us all think. Akhmetzhanova's predictions, like ripples in a calm pond, have spread far beyond the epicenter of the Ukrainian conflict, disturbing the complacency of a world on the brink. Her words, filled with urgency and overshadowed by the specter of future turmoil, serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the interconnectedness of world events. We have journeyed from the dazzling lights of a reality TV show to the shadowy halls of the Kremlin, tracing the arc of Akhmetzhanova's rise from an intriguing curiosity to a figure of global importance. Her predictions, once easily dismissed as mere entertainment, now carry the weight of a disturbing accuracy, their echoes resonating in the halls of power and the hearts of ordinary citizens alike. The conflict in Ukraine, a tragic drama unfolding on the world stage, has become a testing ground for Akhmetzhanova's pronouncements. Her prophecies, interwoven with the narratives of geopolitical strategists and the anguished cries of a besieged nation, have taken on a life of their own, shaping perceptions, influencing decisions, and fueling the anxieties of a world grappling with uncertainty. The year 2027, once a distant point on the horizon, looms large in our collective consciousness, a date etched in our minds by Akhmetzhanova's prediction of a prolonged conflict and an escalation of global tensions. The world holds its breath, caught between hope and apprehension, as we navigate the uncharted waters of a future fraught with possibilities, both promising and perilous. Akhmetzhanova's message is a call to look inward and a serious warning against being too comfortable. Her predictions challenge us to face hard truths about our world, how easily peace can be broken, how connected everything is around the world, and how what we do can cause huge problems. The fighting in Ukraine is a small example of the bigger problems humans face. The choice, as Akhmetzhanova says, is up to us. We can listen to her warnings or keep doing what we're doing. The world is standing at the edge of a cliff between hope and despair. The future, like always, is still being written.